is give us a 1 or a thumbs up if you can see the slides all right. Jaimie, can you see everything
I
okay?
can, yes.
Great. And I am, as usual, let me see if these stay up. They do. That's good. I'm just adjusting some things on my screen so I can see what
All right,
we're
we're getting some
doing.
ones. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you.
Great, we got some ones. Excellent.
All right,
Thanks
we're
so
ready to
much.
go.
Okay, so let's dive in. We're going to talk about your irresistible, compelling offer, how to make an offer that can't be refused. What a great topic, and how critical, that we really need to be able to make that first impression. So let me ask you a quick question. How many of you believe that if people only knew, now really, really knew what you had to offer, that they would be willing to do anything to work with you? Go ahead and type me in the chat if that's you. I'll just wait a moment and get some response from people here.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. Awesome.
Yep. Great. Thank you. And thanks too to Jaimie, by the way, for for helping me and giving me feedback here. So because we've got a lot of screens going on here. So why is this so important? What is this all about? I love this comic, which was shared with me years ago, and I think it just addresses this point. If you talk to people the way advertising talk to people, they punch you in the face. Now, not only is that funny, but isn't it true? And for some reason, when we start in business or we get online, we start really almost adopting like a caustic, aggressive behavior. This, do you want it? Do you want it? It's really kind of slimy, isn't it? And that's not an appropriate offer, is it? So I would ask you, do you deserve a punch in the face? You might not. Maybe you're on the other end of the spectrum where you're so shy and quiet or you don't know what to say that you don't even make an offer and that you're afraid to ask for the order. You could be anywhere on that continuum. But I love that comic because a lot of people think that the way to be successful, the way to really attract people is to be aggressive, to be in their face. And that's not the way to do it. So we're starting off by what is not the way to do things. But let's talk about what we are going to cover in today's topic. So we're going to talk about the reason it's not really about you. We all spend too much time in our own heads. We all spend too much time focused on that. And I'll talk about that briefly in a moment. It's not about what you do. We're also going to talk about the specific steps you need to take for crafting your own irresistible, compelling offer. And lastly, we're going to give you a little bit of a secret sauce here, something that many people don't even realize that's available to them. It's available to them all the time. That's a lifeline that you can go to when you're stuck, or if you're not sure if your offer is going to work. We're going to talk about that. And you might even suspect what that is. There's a hint of it even in that statement as to what do you need to do, if you're not sure if your offer is going to work. Obviously, you know whether it's working or not. So let me, sorry, I think I just skipped there. There we go. Sometimes I get a little click happy. My name is Mark Kanty. Now's the time that we're going to introduce ourselves. My name is Mark Kanty, and for over 2 decades, I've helped coaches, consultants, and professionals in transition to transform into strategic business owners so they can get what they want from their business and from life in the fastest, easiest, most direct way possible. And do that without being stressed or overwhelmed, but instead to have joy in life and have joy in what they're doing and to really focus on that doing what I do best element. That's what having a business is all about. But you need to be a strategic business owner before you can be successful as a coach doing that. So how do I do that? Well, I do that by teaching people how to leverage their own natural, learned, unique strengths and skills, and then building those into a coaching business so they can earn full-time income doing what they love to do. And again, without being stressed or bogged down in day-to-day tasks of running a business. Now, let me introduce my business partner and my strategic partner here, Jaimie Skultety, and let's let Jaimie say a little bit about herself.
Yep. So I'm Jaimie Skultety, and I own Upscale Your Business, and I am a marketing strategist. I started my business as a virtual assistant where I was actually implementing marketing strategies for my clients. My clients were getting great results, and I have since transitioned more into the coaching space myself. So I coach on exactly what and how to market your coaching and consulting business more effectively. So that's in a nutshell what I do.
Great. And that's how Jaimie and I came together, is we
Yep.
were actually kind of each other's clients. I was looking for somebody that could help me implement. So the how, as Jaimie just said, getting that how going, and came across Jaimie, and we just had such a great relationship. And one of the things that Jaimie noticed that was missing with the clients she was working with was a little bit of the work on what we might call the why, or the rationale, that passion, what keeps somebody going through the ups and the downs of having a business. So when we came together and we started to work together, we found that there was just a marriage made in heaven there, that it fit, beautifully together.
Yep.
So what do we do? What do we do in that regard? How do we pull all this together? Well, what we do is we help coaches, consultants, and professionals in transition to leverage their natural and learned strengths and skills by building a coaching business. I mean, that's what we're all about. Now, I want to qualify this too by saying we're talking about a business, not a hobby. So what that means is we work with people who are really looking at this as a career move, as something where they want to create a business of their own so that they can have full-time income from that. And exceptional full-time income is always the goal when you're in business. Because when you're in business, you're doing it all yourself. You're taking a risk. So it's important that you have that exceptional full-time income. Now, the other big part of this is, and what's really important, is we help people discover and find out what they love, so that it's not a labor, but in fact it's a passion, that they're implementing their passion. And what that does is it removes the stress. It means that you don't feel bogged down in day-to-day tasks of running a business. So you're focusing most of your time doing what you do best, running your business in a way that works for you. And we've done this for over 5 years now together with what we call the Upscale method. And the Upscale method has helped hundreds of talented coaches transform into strategic business owners so they get what they want from their business and from life. And our goal is always to help you get there in the fastest, easiest, and most direct way possible. Again, removing the stress, removing the overwhelm, so that you can really start to embody this as a business that you enjoy and that is part of your life. So who do we serve? Who do we work with? Well, we work with people who are not only brand new in this business, but also we have many people that come to us that have been established for quite some time. People who are coaches, people who are consultants. We also work with professionals in transition, and we're thinking, I'm in a job right now, or a career, and I'm not really passionate anymore about it. I want to create something on my own. We also work with PhDs and practitioners in different fields that are also looking at starting something a little unique, a little different, that maybe is outside of the box. So they're not doing the 9 to 5, if you will, punching the clock by, serving people at a clinic, in a brick and mortar sense, but moving online so they have more flexibility and more versatility in what they do. So those people also have a strong desire to make an impact on the world. That's obvious. We wouldn't be in this business if that's not what it was all about. And I'm going to be a little direct here, a little crass. If that's not what it's all about, if that's secondary to you, and you're all about making money, and that's the number one thing, then I would suggest you kind of put this on hold, and that you get a job. And that you get a good job that's going to pay you as much money as possible. Because without this overarching desire to go beyond, without this desire to express your passion and have an impact, then it's probably not going to work very well for you. You're always going to be needs driven. You're always going to be focused on the buck instead of focusing on serving others and having an impact. Of course, income is important. We all need it. and we need, as I said, when you're in business for yourself, as I said before, you need an exceptional income. So we're not going to put that to the side. So it's not just about doing charity work or having an impact without income with it. So combining those together, impact comes first. Full-time income is the companion that goes with that, by having your own coaching business. At the end of the training, we're going to share a little bit more about that, give you a few more details about what we do and how we can help you. So let's talk first, though, about what you're going to get out of this. And we want you to stay tuned and stick around. And there's a couple good reasons for this. First is, any concept, any tactic on its own will not change anything. It will not change the outcome of the results that you're getting. It's important to realize that any tactic you're considering needs to fit into the broader context of a sound business strategy. So you need to have that holistic view, and then look at, where does this tactic fit? So today we're going to be talking about an irresistible, compelling offer, but I'm going to weave that in and blend that in so that you also know where that fits. So towards the end of this training, I'm going to take this specific tactic and I'm going to show you exactly where it fits into a proper overall business strategy, and not just any business strategy, but a business strategy for coaches. Now, the second little gift that we've got is a little gift for you to take away. This is something you can take away that will help you get started on crafting your own irresistible, compelling offer right away. So stick around. That's my little bait for you to stick around and participate and be there with us, because we want to give you these gifts at the end. And by the way, I didn't mention this before, but time-wise, we're going to try and stay tight. You'll notice I talk quickly, and that I'm going to move quickly so that we make sure that you're not hanging around a long period of time here. Our goal is always to try and get these trainings done in about 45 minutes at the max, and we're already probably about 10 or 15 minutes into that anyway. So let me ask you this question. How many of you feel like this when you find yourself trying to appeal to and please everyone? Now, this could be personal, but this could also be in your business. Type yes in the chat if you find yourself kind of really feeling pulled in different directions because you're always tripping over yourself to serve everyone and to please everyone. If that's you, go ahead and type yes in the chat.
Yes, got some yeses.
Great. So when it comes to having an offer that really sings, I'm going to ask you a few more questions here. Is this something that you're struggling with? I would think so, or you wouldn't be here. But obviously, that's kind of an obvious question. Do you try and try and try, but nothing seems to work? Do you feel like you're on the path here, like this one? You're up and down, forward, backward, all over the place? Do you feel kind of like this marionette in this image, like you're being pulled in different directions in every direction, but you're really not clear on which direction is the right one? Again, these may seem like obvious questions and the reason that you're here, but I want to just anchor these in as a starting point as to where we are right now. So what if instead you started with an offer that appealed to the smallest group that could possibly sustain your work? We're getting into the work now. I want you to think about these things, and I hope you're taking some notes on this. What if instead of being pulled in different directions and just trying and trying and trying, you paused for a minute and you said, what would I do if I were creating an offer that appealed just to a very small segment of the population, just the smallest segment that could possibly sustain me? Think about that for a moment. Take some notes on that. By the way, we discussed this concept of what we call the minimum viable audience in the last Facebook Live that we did. So I encourage you to review that. If finding your audience, if you find that your audience is so big, that you can't articulate an offer that would appeal to the people in that group, then I would really encourage you to go back and do the previous training. And by the way, if you're having trouble finding that, just let us know, put a little comment in, we'll point you in the right direction. We'll send you a link to that so that you can rewatch that. But you should also find it in the group, the recordings there. Now, carrying forward on that idea, this an offer that could appeal to the smallest possible group that could sustain your work, your work. If you could pick the members of that audience, if you could start to visualize them, who would you choose? Think about this group standing in front of you. What would they have in common? What are their dreams? What are their worldviews? What's their energy level like? Here's the reality is you're in your mind right now. You get to create this. The reality is it's all up to you. You get to paint the picture of that audience. So think about this. I really want you to pause and think about it. If you could pick those people and you see them standing in front of you now and you needed to delight them, you needed to say something that would just have their eyes pop out and their mouths open because they were so excited, they were so delighted to hear the next words, to hear what you had to say, because you had something that no one else that no one else had to offer. What would you do? How would your offer improve? Would it be easier to attract them if you were able to see those people in front of you and you were able to say something like that? So I want these seeds to be planted into your conscious and your subconscious mind right now, because this is where it begins. Now, would you agree that if you had those things in place, that maybe moving from A to B in terms of having an offer that actually works would be faster and easier? Would you agree with that? Go ahead and type yes in the chat if you'd agree with that. Does that make sense to you, that If you can't see the people in front of you, if you can't articulate what it is that they want, how on earth are you going to come up with an irresistible, compelling offer? How are you going to be able to say something to them where they go, yes, I want to know more? Contrary to that, if you do those things, can you see how much faster and easier it would be to appeal to them? How much faster and easier it would be to actually come up with a statement, an offer, a subject that would resonate with people? How many of you believe that if you truly understood your audience, it would be much easier to create that offer, to create the offer that they would find irresistible? Type yes in the chat. Again, I'm throwing a lot of questions here at you, I know, but I want to get you thinking. I want to get you participating. I want to get you off of the sidelines as a spectator and a participant in this process, because that's the only way that things are going to happen for you. That's the only way change happens, is when we actually take action. We start to think, and based on what we think, we start to act. So here's an important reality check for you. It's not about you. It's not about your credentials. It's not about your program. It's not about your price or what you charge. These are all things that we get tripped up on. We think, oh, if I only charged, a low enough amount, that people would be all over it. What is it that they're going to be all over? Jaimie, you might have some input on this, because Jaimie and I discuss these things all the time. In terms of we say, well, if somebody isn't willing to ask a question, like say, yes, I want to learn more, then is price going to make any difference at all?
Yes, we
Right,
do have
Jaimie?
yes, we have that conversation. And I think we're speaking to people here, I think, who potentially you have an offer that's like hours. Your package includes a series of hours and maybe some workbooks, right? And that's kind of it. So I think that's what we're speaking to also, is those people who are kind of in that hourly fee model, if you will.
Yes, very good point. There are a lot of coaches and consultants out there that are stuck in that kind of routine where we call it a commodity. They've commoditized themselves. They've turned it into a commodity by just saying, this is how much I charge per hour. Well, people aren't buying an hourly rate, are they? Think about
And
that.
they're also not buying somebody else's kind of methodology, if you will. So if you're like a certified coach, you're certified in some modality, and that's what you're marketing, that's a commodity. Now people are going to base their decision on the lowest priced option. So
Yes.
we're
Yes.
speaking to that as well.
Here's a quick example of that. I don't want to get off onto it, but a good little example or a metaphor. If you were going out on the sea and you had a boat, but you didn't know how to drive it, so you were hiring a captain, would you say, I just want to see that you have a license? I don't care who you are. And the guy shows up and he's still drunk from the night before, and his pants are torn and he's got one shoe missing and everything. Is that the guy you're going to hire just because he has a license, because he has some letters beside his name? Probably not. So you're not hiring the captain because he has his certificate. You're going to hire somebody that can get the job done, that can get you to where you need to go safely, right? So there's a little metaphor for you to think about.
Yep.
So who is it about? It's about your audience, and you've got to know your audience, and you've got to know them intimately. Who are you serving? Who do you want to serve if you're not serving them yet? That ideal client you really want to work with, because you know you can help them. See, until you know them intimately, until you know them in a sense better than they know themselves, you will continue to struggle coming up with an offer that works. You're just throwing mud on the wall until you know these things. That's why Jaimie and I are continuously learning things about our audience. Even this morning, we run certain tests. We put language, we read, we're constantly studying and looking at our audience. We call it the avatar, and getting to know them better. And it's amazing. Just the other day, I had a major epiphany. I journaled about 5 pages on this. After all of these years in business, you think, oh, somebody might sarcastically say, oh, you should know them by now. No, that's the whole idea. It's a never-ending process of getting to know someone better and better and better, because by doing that, we're able to serve them better, better, and better. So here's one of the keys, one of the keys, and very important keys, to developing your irresistible, compelling offer, is that you need to invest time and energy and thought and become a student of the conflicts in your customer's world. You need to be thinking about the goals they can't attain. Where are they? Where is that it's so painful? They want something so badly, but they just don't know how to get there. What are the problems that are standing in their way? You see, when you design a process or a solution that is superior to other options and eliminates any negative side effects, then you will have an irresistible, compelling offer that no one can refuse. Now, here's another kind of contrary way of thinking is many people look at it and go, oh, well, there's lots of people out there doing what I do. So therefore, there's no room for me. In other words, I have to be totally unique. I have to come up, I have to create something that nobody else is offering. The reality is the more crowded the marketplace, the more excited you need to be. I'm going to pause on that for a minute. The more crowded it is, the busier it is, the more excited you need to be. What's the rationale behind that? Why would I say something like that? Because the more crowded and packed it is, it means that people aren't getting their problems solved. If there was only one offer, it means, wow, they're doing a brilliant job. Right? So think about this, and I'm going to be a little sarcastic or a little contrary to you. You know, we all know that there's really only one burger place in the world, right? There's only McDonald's. Why would anybody else open up a burger stand? Aren't we all happy that all we have to do is go to McDonald's because they're the only ones that sell burgers and everybody else was smart enough to say, why on earth would I create a burger stand? A little bit sarcastic. Think about that. And think about new burger stands. One just opened up in town here the other day. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them. So why is that? Because people are craving a different way of getting their problem solved. In this case, satiating their hunger. Maybe they want a vegan hamburger. Maybe they want an organic hamburger. Maybe they want, who knows what they want, but the reality is it never ends. So the more selection, the busier, the more crowded the marketplace, the more opportunity there is there. So stop thinking in terms of what you do, because this is where you get caught in a trap. If you start to think about the how, what you do, and you just have that checklist, you're going to get bogged down. You're going to go, well, there's 1,000 people that are doing exactly what I do.
I also want to say
Instead of
something.
realizing that crowded marketplace means that you have the opportunity to do things differently. Sorry, Jaimie, go ahead.
No, that's okay. So apples to apples, right? So people say all the time, comparing apples to apples, like your price is higher or something like that, where if you are that unique problem-solving solution, there is no other apple to compare you to.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
and let's make sure we really hit home on this. It's
Yeah.
not about the way you solve the problem. It's the way you articulate it in terms of your client. Start thinking in terms of problems that they have, big problems. The solution is the second part of it. You solve those problems and you help your customers get what they want in the fastest, easiest way possible. This is really, really important. If you do this, your customers will be forever grateful. They will thank you and they will see you as an indispensable resource, really a partner in their success in life and work and whatever it is that you're going after. But I want to really highlight this fact that we don't go out there and peddle our solution in a generic way. It has to come through the eyes of the customer. It has to come in their language. It has to come in their color. It has to come in their visual image of what it looks like. Because if we just think that we can throw the solution out there and people should accept it, we're always going to struggle. So I know it seems maybe academic and it is subtle, but that subtle shift makes all the difference in the world. It's huge. It's incredibly important. And it's one of the reasons that we spend so much time working on this. Not only do Jaimie and I start working on this, but we work on this with our clients too, as we really drive home. We don't just gloss over this or just throw something out there. So where do you start? Where do you begin on this? Well, start by looking at needs. You want to look at needs and wants actually too. You want to say, what is it that's going on in the market? Where is the crowded marketplace and why is it so crowded? How come all of these people are trying to solve this problem, but nobody seems to be doing it well? The reason typically is because they're just throwing it out there because they think you should take their solution. All you need to do is come at it from a different angle and say, what are people really asking for? What is it that they really need and want? And then think about that is it possible to satisfy that need in a better way than what is currently being offered? And I'm suggesting to you the better way is the customer's way, the way they want it to be satisfied, not the way your program says it should be satisfied, but the way they want it to be satisfied. We need to take people where they are, not where we want them to be. So the important thing here, though, is come back to that all desire is rooted in conflict. So there's always a conflict going on. If somebody's at peace and there is no conflict, then there is no business to be had. There is no customer. There is no client. Your prospect either has a goal that they aren't able to achieve, or they're stuck and they don't know what steps to take, or they have a problem that they can't solve. They're agonizing over this problem. So always, that's the angle that we want to come at things from in terms of our learning and our study and our understanding of what customers are saying. Look at their language, view the chat lines, go on Facebook, go to any number of these things, Reddit. What's one of the other big ones? Quora. What are the questions that people are asking? And don't correct them. That's another impulse that we tend to do, is we tend to want to correct people, right? We want to say, well, they said this in this way. They had some spelling errors in there. Their grammar wasn't quite correct. I know what they meant. So therefore, I'm going to rewrite it in perfect grammar and exactly the way it should be written. And then I'm going to offer it to them. Guess what? They're going to stick their tongue out at you because you're trying to correct them. You're trying to correct the way they think. You're trying to correct their desires. Don't do that. Don't think that you need to become this perfect copywriter. Don't think that you need to be this academic, because you're just going to drive people away. And this is a really important thing, because when we're marketers and when we're natural salespeople, we tend to be quite flamboyant. We tend to be very articulate. And it's really difficult because we want to put our flair on things, right? We want to polish it up. We want to make it perfect. We want to make it beautiful. But if that's not the way your customer is thinking, if it's gnarly and it's nasty and it's dirty and it's broken up a little bit, and we start speaking to them in an ideal way, we're going to have a disconnect there. So we want to speak to them in a way that appeals to them, that drives them to us, that attracts them. So you need to understand where you're going to bring your prospect emotionally, right? So it's the emotion behind that, so that your offer then becomes a no-brainer. So first question to ask, what is the ultimate outcome your prospects are seeking to attain? Second, really important, the counter to that, what is life like wanting that outcome and not having it? Ooh, now that's powerful, because when we're able to address that, when we're able to say, doesn't it hurt? Does it hurt like this? Does it hurt here? Is this what's going on? And they go, yeah. That's when people really start to identify with you and identify with what you're offering. And then another thing that may seem a little counterintuitive, what's the absolute least amount your client would need to do to get the maximum payback? This is another thing that we tend to do. We tend to be, when we're course creators, we're trying to create a program, we want to give it all. So we think, oh, hey, I've got the solution to your problem. I have spent years pulling this together. I started with just a 20-page, program, and now I've got this up to 5,000 pages. And you know what? Next month, I think I've got another 500 I'm going to throw on there. Is that what people really want? Is that what they want to buy? They want to go, I want somebody who's really going to keep me busy for the rest of my life solving this problem. And yet, isn't that what we often do? We think more is the solution. No, it's less. How can I get them there as quickly and easily as possible? And think about this in the way that you buy things. Let's think about fast food, for example. Why does fast food even exist? Because somebody has a problem. They're hungry. And they want to get there with the least amount of effort and time taken to get something in their belly. That's the payback they're looking for. Now, if I go into this long 5-7 course meal and I tell them they need to take the entire evening off, but all they want to do is have a bite to fill their stomach so they can continue on their journey, am I going to get them to come in my restaurant? Not a chance. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with the 5 or 7 or 10 course meal, because there's people that are desiring that too. But the key is, again, coming back to understanding what it is that they really, really want. What are they asking for? Okay, Here's the secret sauce here, guys. This is, and right away I noticed, I don't know, I might have a spelling error in here. Just see if you catch this or not. No, maybe I don't. But here's the formula, is you want to start really basic. And by the way, the other tendency that we often have, and the internet often drives this, is we think that we need to have this perfect the first time. I would challenge you to begin with to just blast out 10 of these as quickly as you possibly can, and then do another 10 and another 10, and maybe do 100 of them all together. But keep working on this and letting it percolate and refine. And by the way, don't do it all in one sitting. Let your subconscious work on it. Bang out 10 of these and then sleep on it. And then come back to it tomorrow and massage a little more. Think about pause for a minute and think about your customer and your client, and think about, what is it that if I said this to them that they would go? And you might start with simple things. Like you might even go away from your product right now and do some brainstorming around. If somebody was really hungry, if somebody was really craving, let's say somebody was really craving a really good steak, how would I fill this out? If somebody was craving a vacation, they hadn't been on vacation in 10 years and they're just exhausted and they want to give up on the world, how would you answer this? So sometimes thinking outside the box can help stimulate the juices. But excuse me, here's the formula. You want to fill in the blanks here. Whatever it is, the title of your program or service, gives or gets or helps who? Who's your specific who to get what? What's the benefit? What's the outcome that they're going to get? So think about that for a minute and take a moment right now. I'm not going to spend a lot of time here. Normally, if we're doing this kind of work in a workshop setting or whatever, we might take 15 minutes to do some work on this. I'm not going to take up your time doing that right now because you're going to have this to come back to. But it's your turn. Just take a few minutes to draft up your own clear, compelling offer. Take a minute to just fill in these blanks right now as quickly as you can. Just let your subconscious do it. Just throw it out there. My what? Fill in the blank. Gives people what? Who is it? What do they want to get? Take a moment right now just to do this. I'll give you, what shall I give them, Jaimie? I'm going to give them 15 seconds. That's plenty of time.
I'm going to comment a little bit too on sort of the who, right? Really, really, really dig deep. If you say I help women or I help men, that's just way too broad. So really structure your offer in something that speaks a little bit more direct. And again, Mark referred to, we did a whole training just last week on minimum viable audience. So if you want the training for that, just put it in the comments below. Also, we're talking about, like, put yourself in a position of like you're the doctor. You're helping to diagnose, and then you're going to help to prescribe. The prescription would be your compelling offer. It's diagnosing the problem. That's first. Doctors not going to prescribe until they actually have a diagnosis for you.
I love that, Jaimie. Those are just brilliant points. Your homework is that diagnosing, right? That's your diagnosis, is going out there doing the research. And I know this is work. Yeah, guess what? Work. It takes work to build a business. Go out there and do the work, do the diagnosis. Then this becomes your prescription. You know, how would you feel about a doctor if you just walked into his office and he looked at you and went, oh, you need some of this. Go to the pharmacy and fill this. Like, you'd run away. I mean, you'd tear that piece of paper up. So, and yet how many coaches and consultants are doing this? I know exactly what you should be doing. And they haven't even taken the time to understand their client. I know that's not you. Because if you're new or you're established, you're going to go and you're going to do this work. You're never going to stop doing it. You're going to do it forever. You're going to keep doing it. But that's a brilliant point. And the other thing, I love what you said there, Jaimie, too, is don't be vague on the who. And Jaimie and I speak from experience. I mean, we've spoken to, it probably is in the thousands now, thousands of people, thousands of coaches and consultants. I don't think we're at 1,000 in terms of client list yet. We haven't helped that many, but we've helped well over, I think, over 500 now. But when it comes to the who, one of the things that we hear often, and Jaimie can tell you this because she's front and center on this, is how many people say, well, I help women. I help executives. I help business people. Way too vague. So let's come back to the vacation example again. You can't say, well, I help a couple, or I help women, or I help men that want to go on vacation. Where would that get you? What would be the outcome they're looking for? Are they retired in golf? Do they love to golf? Are they young? Are they hard bodies that, a hard body I'd call it hard-bodied from my old fitness days, but you know, a hard-bodied woman that wears a beautiful bikini. That's the image you need to have. That's how intimate you need to be with your audience. Is you need to be able to picture them in front of you. And if you're just drawing a stick man with a little curly, you know, on top if they're a woman, or nothing, or a little squiggly on the top of their head if they're a man, and four sticks, that's not good enough. And yet how many people, you know, go through business like that with stick man? It doesn't work. You've got to be able to reach out and touch that person. That's how clear we want that audience to be in your mind. Because how can you possibly offer something to somebody and expect them to go, I want to talk to you, I want to know more, if you don't have that in mind, if you don't have that clarity in terms of what they need, what they want, what they value in mind. So the next step here, and I gave you more than 15 seconds, is all of this is a hypothesis. It's a guess. A lot of people are going to want to charge out and spend money on Facebook ads or whatever and throw their offer out there and say everybody's going to line up and buy. No. Not the way to do it. You need to validate your assumptions. Do the work. Get intimately acquainted with your prospective customers' needs, wants, and values, and then test it out. How do you test it out? Ask. And this doesn't have to be, I spoke to somebody a couple weeks ago and they had in their mind, oh yeah, you know, I need to create a focus group, so I'm going to need to do this and this. Again, they made it way too complicated. I said, just jot down a few names. Find 5 people in your LinkedIn connection list or your friends list or in your phone book or on your phone, and reach out to them and say, hey, you know, I'm working on a project here and I'd really appreciate your help. Would you be willing to give me some feedback? Oh, by the way, I'm not selling anything. I'm just trying to get feedback on an idea that I've got. Would you be willing to do that with me? And ask them and say, you know, I'm looking at this. And by the way, the closer you can get to that audience, the better. So if you come back to that, you know, that person that loves steak, for example, and you want to test out your offer on steak, find a steak lover, find somebody that loves steak, because they're going to give you, pardon the pun here, but they're going to give you juicy responses. So if you can find people within your audience, you know, that not people you're going to sell to or you want to sell to, but just people that you can really get honest feedback from and say, hey, you know, I know that you're in the market for a car, and I'm working on this script, you know, that I've got because I'm a car salesman, and here's what it is. What do you think about this? Would that be something that would attract you? Get feedback from 2, 3, 4, 5 people, just a handful of people. And you'll know, and that feedback alone will help you to really refine your offer. So it's critical. So often we work in isolation. We're afraid, we let fear creep in, and we're afraid to say anything. And because we're in isolation, then we start to should on people instead of taking the time to ask. So instead of shoulding on people, ask. Now,
one thing also I want to just add in, if I may, just piggyback on all of this, is that any of you who have not yet created your program, don't create your program yet. If you've already done it, you've already done it. But really, this is research that is so important before you create your program, and try to fit somebody into that. Find out what they want. Like Mark is talking about, this whole webinar, this whole training is all about that. Don't create it just yet.
Brilliant observation again, Jaimie. Thank you. And if you have created it, that's okay. Then now just look at it as a draft. Look at it as something you need to validate. It's okay that you've created it, but now you want to go, okay, this is my hypothesis. Remember the scientific method from grade school. This is my hypothesis to what people want and what's going to help them solve a problem. Because you've created something to solve a problem. Now you got to go and validate that that's a real problem. Yeah. And you got to validate, and you may have a great solution, and you may have a problem that you've really identified well, but you might have it in the wrong language. You might be saying it the wrong way. So this is, again, you're going to go back to the market. You're going to go back to the audience. You're going to do that research. You're going to look, and this is, I don't want to say it's easy. I want to say it's simple. And the reason it's simple is because of these machines in front of us. We have something called the internet, which means we have countless data points that we can go to. We can go to Amazon and read through reviews. We can read through book descriptions. We can go to Reddit. We can go to Quora. We can go to any number of those chat bots out there that are actually giving people information and where people are asking questions. And we can find the language. We can actually identify what people are looking for. So let me carry on here. And I know I gave a little tease of this with this slide, but we're not done yet. Okay. I do want to highlight that this particular part, the irresistible compelling offer, is actually in phase 1, step 2 of the 9-step upscale method. So in a moment, I'm going to show you the complete strategy, how this all fits together. By the way, there's no pitch or anything, so don't run away on me. I just wanted to put this in context and give you a full strategy. We're totally transparent here. Now, I'm going to do a couple other things too. I have 2 more things that I want to give you. One is that final step. I don't know if you've remembered it or not. I've been given hints and clues to it, but I'm going to give you the full meal deal, which is your lifeline. What do you do when you're stuck and nothing seems to work? I'm going to give you that lifeline. So don't forget that. We're going to stick around because I want to give you that. And the other thing is that gift that I promised, that takeaway. Okay. That ability to create your own compelling offer. We're going to give you something, a little gift at the end of this. So, but before we get to those things, let me check in again because I want to ask you another question. How many of you before we started today were thinking that the best way to promote what you do is maybe by being a little vague, by offering to, hey, I can solve anyone's problem. You got a problem? I can solve it because I'm a coach. I know how to get you through that. How many of you maybe came to today's meeting with some of that training, some of those voices in your head, but now realize that focusing on a minimum viable audience is a better pathway to creating an irresistible, compelling offer? So go ahead and type me in the chat if that's you, okay? Just want to do a check-in here. I'm just doing a check-in to see if we've shifted your thinking at all. That this idea of, hey, if I'm just vague and I kind of step back and I go, hey, I can help, that I'm going to attract people. But now you're realizing, wait a minute, if I'm more specific, if I know who, really know who, then I'm going to be able to offer them something. Let me know if that shift has happened for you. Again, put me or 1 in the chat, whatever works for you.
We're getting a lot of
go ahead and do that.
We're getting a lot of good me's. Yes.
Great. Awesome. Yep. Okay. So as promised, let's put this into context for you, because where does this fit in an overall strategy? So let's look at this for a minute. Sorry. So when you look at this, when you think about a tactic, it's just one little piece, right? It stands on its own. But would you agree that it works a lot better when you have a roadmap, when you know where you're coming from and where you're going to, that when you can see where things fit, that it makes more sense? Would you agree that not only in work and in business, but in life in general? Think about, I mean, I know Jaimie's going on a road trip here coming up soon. At Christmas, she often does every year. And Jaimie, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's probably certain stops along the way, right? That you frequent.
Kennesaw, Georgia. Yes.
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 So when we're going on a vacation, it's natural, not a vacation, but a trip in general, particularly when we do it repetitively, we look for those signs along the way, right? We say, well, let's shoot for this particular stop where we're going to have lunch.
Yep.
And then let's shoot. And you spend the night, I think, don't you, Jaimie?
Yep.
Yeah. So you probably stop in a specific place.
Every year. Same place.
Every year. Same community, same city.
Same exit, same hotel. Yes.
Same exit, same hotel. So you see, like when you're in a car, this is natural, isn't it? You're going from A to B, so you want to map these things out. Why do we want to do that? Because we want it to be comfortable. We want to be familiar. We want our expectations to be met, right? We don't go, well, let's take let's go an extra 100 miles this year. Let's go 100 miles less. We don't do things like that. We get into a routine because we like the way it feels. And also it makes things easier, doesn't it? It takes a lot of stress off the brain. Is we know, hey, this is the place. We always stop here for lunch. They do a great soup and a sandwich or whatever. Then we look forward to it. We start to anticipate that. And we remember that from past history, right? So the roadmap really helps us out. So this is our roadmap. Okay, and when we're talking about this, putting this in context, if you will, for you, this is this part of the roadmap where we're actually in the clarity phase, getting clear on who it is we serve, what we have to offer. So this is step 3 in our roadmap in terms of how we go from being, a disorganized, fearful coach and consultant that never knows where their next client is coming from to somebody at the end who says, no, I've got consistent income. I've got lead flow. I know how to talk to people. I don't even sell because it's so easy. It's so effortless, the conversations I have. I'm willing to let people go that aren't a good fit. I love it when there is a good fit because it's just a natural conclusion. This is what the roadmap we all want to be on for our business. So I want you to think about this for a minute. Have you been just grabbing tactics? Have you been shopping tactics? Have you been trying one tactic and getting all your expectations up and then realizing, oh, it didn't work? This is what's happening when you don't have a roadmap, when you don't know that one outcome fits into the next outcome, which fits into the next outcome, which actually gets you to, where are you going, Jaimie? You're going to Jersey or New York?
No, we go to Cincinnati every year to my in-laws.
Cincinnati, right.
Yeah, and
so if you don't have that roadmap, how are you ever going to get to Cincinnati? You gotta have it laid out, right? Yeah.
So we stopped just above Atlanta. We stopped. Yeah.
There you go. So see, she's already got it all in her mind. I brought it up. Now her subconscious is pulling it all out. She's remembering all the stops and everything. Yeah. Everything along the way.
Florida, so just so everybody knows, I'm in Florida, so it's a straight shot up.
There you go. Yeah. Straight shot from Florida up. I remember taking that trip when I lived north of Lake Ontario and straight down to Florida when it got too cold and snowy. We'd hop on, particularly when the kids were young, for March. We called it March break back then. It was about spring break now, and we'd be heading to Florida. And we knew, yeah, where we were going and the stops we'd be making all the way along. So your business is the same. So don't deny yourself with this. Look at where things work in your life and where you can make things easier. And one of the ways to do that is by working a roadmap. And by the way, this is one of the things we help our clients do, is to create a roadmap so that your clients can then have something to follow as well. So it makes it easy to have that conversation with them and they feel comfortable with that. So if you're ready to implement a system like that, you want a step-by-step method for consistent client attraction so you can expand your impact and increase your income without being inauthentic or pushy, because that's one of the things that we're all about too. I hope we haven't come across as being inauthentic, because I like to think that we're very authentic in what we do and how we do it. And I hope you haven't found us pushy either. We always want to provide value up front. But you could go ahead and book a strategy session with us. And believe me, we're not into push and shove. We're not into tricks and gimmicks and, any slippery sales tactics. In fact, if you decide to do that, we're gonna come along and we're gonna first dive in. We're gonna deliver. We're gonna pay it forward. We're gonna deliver first and help you create a game plan. And then we're gonna have a conversation, if you wish, about what it would be like to work with us. And we're selective. We only work with a handful of people at a time. So we're looking to marry you. So we're not looking for anybody with a pulse. We're looking for people that fit, that are going to be successful, and we want to be part of your success. So I just want to share that with you and let you know that if you need help with any of this, you want to put together a game plan, even just to kind of start to draft it and sketch out what your roadmap needs to look like or might look like, we're happy to sit down and do that with you. By the way, there's a link in the sidebar showing up right now. Just go ahead and click game plan and we'll make that happen. Let's finish up here with those things that I promised. Hope you're still hanging in there with me. The last thing is your lifeline, and I'm going to give you a couple of tips here on this. One is too small a number to achieve greatness. No accomplishment of real value has ever been achieved by a human being working alone. Some of you might be familiar with John Maxwell. So you might even be certified in his coaching process. Brilliant thoughts, John Maxwell. If you are familiar with him, you probably know that there are lots and lots of quotes out there from John Maxwell. But I love this one because it really highlights this idea that we can't work in isolation. We need to get feedback. So one of the first things I taught you and gave you in terms of a lifeline was your friends, your associates, your prospects, your audience. They are your lifeline. Reach out to them and start getting feedback. It's really, really critical, okay? The next thing I want to do is offer you a more specific lifeline. A lifeline that's going to help you identify what your irresistible, compelling offer is, who that laser targeted minimum viable audience is, the one that's right for you, and maybe some messaging that you could use to actually promote and attract that audience. And this again is like the game plan, except it's more specific. If this is what you're looking for specifically, again, Jaimie and I are here for you, and you can click on that link because this is going to be a private one-on-one consult where we get to know each other, and we're going to help you identify exactly what you want in those things: the offer, the audience, and the messaging. And again, no pitch, no obligation, and there's no cost to this, by the way. This is our way of paying it forward and helping you out. And this is the way we grow our business, by the way. No secrets, full transparency here. And we'll help you grow your business in a similar way, is make it light, make it friendly, make it interesting. It can always be challenging because don't we all love a challenge? So let's wrap up here now. Whoops, sorry. I got a little click happy. If you got value and you want to grab that lifeline, just go ahead and type lifeline in the comments, and we'll go ahead and reach out to you. And by the way, if you missed that link, the game plan or whatever you want that to, go ahead and put game plan in the comments. If for whatever reason that link isn't showing up for you, we'll get back to you. We're always monitoring, and we have Kanty, one of our amazing people that works with us, is also monitoring that for us. And Jaimie and I are always in the group and monitoring that too. So go ahead, depending, it doesn't matter when you saw this or whatever, go ahead and type lifeline if you want to talk specifically about your offer. And if you want a full game plan, you want a little bit more, go a little more in depth, then type game plan in the comments section, and we'll go out and we'll reach out to you and let you know how we can set that up to get together. Now, I got one more thing for you. If you want our one-page worksheet that walks you through this formula and helps you craft your own irresistible, compelling offer, type worksheet in the comments. So I'm throwing a lot at you here. And by the way, if you just say game plan, then we'll capture everything, right? So if you want it all, if you want the whole enchilada, just put game plan in there. We'll get together. We'll make sure that you got the worksheet. We'll make sure that we go over your offer and your audience. We'll do it all. But if there's one specific thing, maybe you're checking us out, maybe you're suspicious, maybe you don't trust us or whatever, and you just want to pick up a little piece of this. If you just want the worksheet and you want to run away with that and work in isolation for a little while and absorb that, go ahead and type worksheet. If you just want us to dive deep and really work on the offer with you, go ahead and type that in there, the lifeline, and we'll help you do that. And if you want to talk with us about a bigger game plan, then go ahead and type game plan. So a lot of different things that I've thrown at you. You've got me, you got worksheet, you got, what else we got? We got game plan, we got lifeline. There you go. They're all there. Now, lastly, I hope you've gotten value from all of this, and that's our goal. But mark your calendar. Every Thursday we meet and we do this. It's at 2:30 Eastern Standard Time, or Eastern Time, I should say, because if it's daylight time, it's daylight time. If it's standard, it's standard. 11:30 on the West Coast, and you can fill in the blank in between if you're in Mountain or anywhere else for that matter. And this is the type of content you can expect, exactly what we talked about today. So we're going to be doing specific training with some specific action steps to help you with tactics that are going to fit into strategies around client attraction, pricing and packaging, creating your compelling offer, sales psychology, you name it. And these are ongoing. So we're always trying to give you a different piece of the puzzle and help you build that in. Maybe that's all you need, is just a specific piece of the puzzle that you find that's missing. Maybe you need it all. Maybe you want to pull all this together. Regardless, show up every Thursday and you'll start to build this out for yourself. We also want to encourage you to sign up for our VIP notification. That way you'll know, right? You just go to upscaleyourbusiness.com/VIP dash or hyphen list. Go there, and then you'll be a VIP. What are you going to get for that? Well, you're going to get notifications so that you know when this is happening. So we'll send you a quick note saying, hey, we're going to go live today. So you can jump on and see what we have to offer. And as a special thank you gift for being one of our VIPs, we're going to send you one of our paid programs. It's called Your Ideal Coaching Career. We've had numerous people go through this program. It's one segment of a larger program. It's a really great workshop that we do in about 90 minutes. That'll give you a tremendous amount of depth in terms of kind of what we talked about. Part of what we talked about today is your ideal coaching career, like starting to design that. It begins there, knowing what you want and how to create it. And now, as we mentioned before, and thank you for your patience and for hanging in there. We went a little long today, not too bad, but we still got at least 5 minutes, if not more. We're happy to hang around. What questions, comments do you have? Because we'd love to dive into anything specific that you've got right now that's burning a hole in your brain. And we're happy to dive in and talk about that. So
Yeah,
go
and
ahead.
if you're not in the webinar room and we are able to, type into the webinar chat, put your comments and your questions into wherever you're watching. Could be Facebook, could be YouTube. Just pop them in there, and we will make sure to get back to you specifically with the answers. So,
we'll send you a worksheet. We'll send you a document. We'll reach out to you to have a quick chat. If that's something we don't have some hard, type of work to do on, then maybe we need to dialogue about it. We'll do that too. We'll send you a link. And again, all, no BS. We're all about helping you and serving you and making sure that you get, if you're stuck, we want to help you get unstuck. If you're kind of, floundering or in the middle and you want to get to the next step, you're tired of treading water, we're here to help you do that too. If you're really ready to explode, maybe you've gone from part-time to full-time, or you're transitioning, to really make this a business that sings and has great impact, we're here for that too. Let us know, and we will help you and serve you appropriately. Yeah. Jaimie, any other? I know Jamie's monitoring, I think, some different chats than I am, so I don't see everything on the screen here.
Yeah, no, not in the webinar room, so we'll wrap it up here, and we'll look for your comments and questions inside of our other chats.
Awesome.
Get back to you that way. So thank you everybody for being here. We look forward to seeing you soon. We might be off for the holiday. Well, we will be off for the holiday, so just keep in check with us, and we'll make sure we let you know when the next training is.
Yeah, and it's only, let's just close on a really positive note. It's only December the 1st. Jaimie and I are going to be off, around Christmas, probably for about a week. But know that we're still monitoring our lines. And that, by the way, this is the time. People don't think that now is the time to take the next month off. This is the time you want to be doing your homework. This is the time you want to be really hunkering down, not relaxing, but getting the work done. So this is a great month to do that, so that you can hit January running. Everybody feels great in January. Everybody's got New Year's resolutions. They're gonna turn a new leaf. They're gonna develop new habits. They're gonna do things. So January is an amazing time to really be ramping up, and December is a great time to be planting those seeds. So the people who are planting seeds now, the people who are doing their homework, the people that are getting that work done, are the ones that are going to be ready for that New Year's rush, if you will. So, and if you want to talk about that too, if you want to talk about a strategy for the new year, again, get in touch with us. Let us know. And we're happy to do that, because that's what Jaimie and I are doing right now, is we're hunkering down. We're doing our thinking work. We're doing our testing work. We're really starting to work on things, not that we haven't all along, but now's the time we really amp up, because we kind of look at the end of the year as our deadline, if you will. We want to really end the year with a bang, and we want to end the year really prepared for our next year to be really, really powerful, and more powerful than the year before.
We are actively engaged in market research right now, as we speak.
Always.
For next year.
Yeah, never ending.
Never ending. Yeah.
That brings us to an hour. So we did it in an hour, including Q&A, and we want to thank you again. And if we don't connect with you in the next few weeks, by the way, we'll be here next week. If we don't connect with you, then all best wishes for you for a great holiday. But we certainly hope to see you on the next calls coming up next week, and maybe personally one-on-one.